It's the second day of the 10-day mourning period for the late British monarch Queen Elizabeth II. Tributes continue to pour in from across the globe. The longest-serving monarch passed away on Thursday at the age of 96. Her oldest son, King Charles III, has ascended the throne and he's set to be formally proclaimed today. Let's get further details on that with Olly Barrat, who is there covering the story for us. Olly, very good morning to you. And just on the proclamation of King Charles III, what exactly does that process look like?
Yeah, it's going to be televised live for the first time, so we'll all see it, and there'll be lots of pomp and ceremony and splendour and formal episodes taking place of all of this. And what happens is that at first the Privy Council gathers. Now that is a body, a grouping of hundreds actually of advisors to the sovereign. A lot of its duties are purely ceremonial, but they'll be there, and they will the membership of around 200, between 200 and 700 of them, will turn up for this ceremony this morning. They will gather at St James's Palace to start off with. Conservative MP Penny Mordaunt, who is currently the Lord President of this grouping, the Lord President of the Privy Council, she will start proceedings by announcing the death of the sovereign, so announcing the death of the Queen. Then we'll go on to the clerk of that council, reading the test of the accession proclamation. That includes Charles's title as king, which of course now we know, given that he's chosen it, is Charles III. That proclamation then gets signed by a group of people, which includes Camilla, the Queen Consort, the Prince of Wales, which is now William, of course, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Lord Chancellor, the Prime Minister, Liz Truss, the new Prime Minister as well. The Lord President at that point will insist on silence and will read out various other bits of business. And then we will hear orders put down for gun salutes, which will take place at the Tower of London and in Hyde Park in central London as well. Then we expect that we will see the King himself. He will come into this council meeting. There'll be the Privy Councillors there. He will make a personal declaration of some sort about the Queen's death. That could be an emotional moment, given what we saw from him in terms of emotion in his first address to the nation. He'll then take an oath to the Church of Scotland, which is separate from the Church of England. He'll sign a couple of documents on that. The Privy Councillors will sign the proclamation as they leave. There will be various public declarations of this proclamation at various different locations in the UK as well. And as I say, all of this is going to be televised live at the point at which it's taking place, and there are various bits of it which actually seep into Sunday as well. Flags will go back up to full mast, and then after it's all concluded finally on Sunday, we'll see them go down to half mast again. There'll be lots of ceremony, but essentially this is the formalities of Charles becoming king, although he already is.
I just want to understand, Olly, and I'm sure those watching want to get a sense as well. Is this a form of a coronation, or is a coronation set to take place at a later stage?
Good question, and no is the answer. The coronation would take place at a later stage. This is essentially the organs of the British state proclaiming that, yes, Charles is the new king. The Privy Council, as I say, it's an advisory body, several hundred people now part of it. Many of them are part of the government. And it's really ceremonial, but it does involve people who do take regular soundings and give regular advice to the monarch. So it has practical functions as well. So this is part of this is the government saying to the monarch, yes, we proclaim you and recognise you as the new leader of the state. And one other element of this that takes place, which is relevant to that today, is that a number of senior MPs at Westminster will swear an oath to King Charles there. They're on their second day of tributes to the Queen, but today there'll also be some of them swearing an oath to the new king. So that really shows what's happening today in terms of the proclamation, and then the coronation would be at a later date. We don't know when that would be at this point, but that again would be a huge ceremonial affair. But the Queen's was not for some time after she actually became the Queen. It wasn't until much later that the actual coronation took place.
Olly, obviously the King comes in at a very difficult time in the UK, still adjusting from Brexit, really feeling the repercussions of the Russian invasion and the gas crisis that is faced by Europe at the moment, amongst other things, including inflation. Have you had engagements with different stakeholders about really how he's going to be navigating as the head of state for the next few years or so, just given the difficulties that are being faced?
Yeah, well, he will stay above the fray when it comes to the politics of all of that, but certainly he will be attempting to play an important leadership role, and part of that leadership role is trying to show that the continuity is there as head of state, passing from his mother to him. Of course, the Queen as well had to stay above the fray when it came to politics, but part of her duties, she felt, was to be there as a reassuring presence at the top of the organs of the state, and that will be the same for Charles. He won't get involved at all in questions about whether the government's plan on inflation is up to scratch or helping enough people or anything like that, but certainly he will hope to understand some of the issues that people are going through up and down the country. And I think we saw also on the day that he returned to London, part of the way that he hopes to be monarch, and that was when he arrived back at Buckingham Palace in his car and in that motorcade from RAF Northolt, the military base, having flown back in from Scotland. When his car arrived at Buckingham Palace and stopped, and he got out and met with his citizens for the first time as their monarch, and that was clearly a premeditated thing. It was clearly something that he wanted to do, but he clearly wanted to show that he is going to be approachable, that he's going to try and be in touch with the people of this country. And of course, the people of this country, as you rightly say, are feeling the squeeze at the moment. They're feeling the pinch because of inflation and the rising cost of living. Charles will absolutely know that. And so while he'll stay out of the politics, he will try in various ways, I think, to show that he understands what people are going through. And he also talked in that first address to the nation about particularly William and Catherine being those senior royals who can be involved in some of those campaigns on issues of the day to make sure marginalised people are being listened to, are being heard, are being helped. And it's in that way, I think, that Charles is signalling that that's how he'll try and be head of state.
Thank you very much. That is ENCA London correspondent Olly Barrat joining us, giving us a sense of what's set to take place with the proclamation of King Charles III as King of the United Kingdom, but also just the work ahead as we move on.